What's up, guys? Just want to give my opinion about stuff again, and hope everybody's having a awesome weekend. And it's the cool up here, and in the North Country and stuff. But hopefully springish this weekend for us, and so I can get outside and do my walking and exercising and stuff. But with all this gerrymandering stuff, I knew nothing about it, never heard of it before. But and they were like saying was it the big one was in Texas, and the liberals got upset about it. But you know, you know, but it's okay for people in Virginia to do it, right? And stuff. So and I think there is still hopefully some sensible, hopefully some moderate, Democrats that want to come over to the right, and I am no expert. I am just giving my observation. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'm just saying that you would think that the better ideas would win, right? But no, and both sides are hanging on to their seats, literally, But I just think with the liberals, they just want to spend, 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 and not be held accountable. And there's a lot on the right too, I'm a conservative, so and a 100% Trump supporter. I admit it. I really don't care what people think. I support this conflict in Iran, and people don't like it. Tough, you know. The only one I care about is Jesus Christ, and I just think again. Well, we all know why the liberals are running scared because they're getting exposed with all this fraud, in Minneapolis and California with all this, you know, daycare fraud, with Nick Shirley. It took some independent reporter to expose this thing. And I blame, certain channels do for not covering it even until Nick Shirley came about. And I give him 100% credit for it. I'm praying for him. I hope he gets security and stuff like that. And and again, it's I don't know, this one has never been exposed if the Democrats won, you know, and we'd probably be almost, close to Iran having a, certain thing, you know. But again, it's you gotta ask yourself, were you better off under Biden or Trump? And just make your own decision. God gives us all free will, and hopefully this is still a free country, and we want legal people to come in legally, and stuff, and we want people to understand our laws and our culture, you know, and stuff. So, and it's hard a lot of times, and I'm not knocking anybody, but when you go to certain establishments, you know, nobody speaks any English at all, you know, and how can you run a business, especially in the United States, you know, and if I was in their country, I'll have to learn their language, and best I can, and I don't know, it's just thoughts come into my head and, oh, kidding. See, we can have fun and stuff too. And if if Trump was really a dictator, there'd be pretty much nothing left of Iran. You know, again, he's just been there's only one Jesus Christ, you know, and the Bible, you know, and stuff. And Jesus Christ is coming back soon. You know, he you know he has a plan for your life. If you don't know, open up the Word of God, and if you know if you don't know, pray to Jesus, and if you don't know how to pray, just talk to God, you know, and you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect, you know. And trust me, guys. You know, God, you know everything. Even this stuff I've been going through recently, and I really appreciate it. So I hope and pray to the God, Lord Jesus Christ, that I don't want war or conflict, but sometimes it has to happen. You know, and I just hope and pray for military, law enforcement, and ICE, and that they all be safe and come back home and such. Well, God bless America, God bless our troops, God bless President and Vice President of the United States, you know, and take care, be safe, look out for each other, you know, and care about each other. Do things without, you know, wanting to get anything back, you know, and without any condition. Trust me, you'll feel better about yourself, you know, and stuff. So, okay, well, God bless, and take care, and talk nice to you.